As what I've told you earlier, class, discourse markers are very essential in writing. They play a huge role and a lot of functions in connecting sentences together. In this juncture, we will be learning its different functions. First, we have here adding something. It's when you include more things to support your claim or your first or initial idea. So, for our sentence connectors, we have here moreover, in addition, additionally, further to this, also, besides, what is more. And it is usually placed in the initial position of the sentence or clause. For example, I would say that I have a lot of hobbies like dancing and singing. In addition, I can also do crochet or write a book. So you can see by using in addition to our sentence, we can say that, oh, this person is not just good at singing or dancing. She can also do crochet or, write. So we add something using the sentence connector in addition. Next type of relationship is making a contrast between two separate things, people, ideas, etc. We juxtapose objects. We compare them, how different they are in other aspects. So, for example, we have, however, on the other hand, in contrast, yet. So, to give an instance, we can say that Keisha is eating spaghetti. On the other hand, Lindsay is eating carbonara. So, you can attest their different preferences in terms of food. And you can also see that we use, on the other hand, at the very first part of the sentence. No, because you can see they're separated. The first one with Keisha eating spaghetti, and then the next sentence would be Lindsay eating carbonara. Next function would be making an unexpected contrast or concession. Same with the first one, but somewhat different because we don't really anticipate it coming. So we have although, even though, in spite of the fact that, and regardless of the fact that. In this function, we can either put these words in the initial position of the sentence, or we can start with the second or subordinate clause. For example, I like my roommate despite the fact that she can be a little bit messy at times. So we can put the despite the fact that in the middle of the sentence. And if we were to give an instance of these words being put in its initial position, we can say, although I don't like my roommate, I appreciate her generosity in me. Just like that. Next would be expressing a condition. What is condition, class? It is when you make a decision and then you expect an outcome for it, or its possible effect of your actions to be done. So for our sentence connectors, we have if, in the event of, as long as, so long as, provided that, assuming that, and given that. And it is usually put in the initial position or starts a second or subordinate clause. For example, we have the if then statement. So, if you don't love me, then we should break up. Or if you don't study, then you might fail the exam. Or we can also use given that. Given that we have reviewers by our professors, we should be able to pass the exam. So you are given the possible outcome from your decision that you will be making, later on or sooner or later. And the last one, we have making what you say stronger. How fascinating discourse markers can be, that you can make what you say even, more plausible, stronger. So on the contrary, as a matter of fact, in fact, indeed, it is usually put in the initial position. So in this function, we can say that, as a matter of fact, using technology can be beneficial for us students, especially in the generation C. Or we can also say, in fact, I'm still here because I'm exposed to technology that helps me in researching things or gathering information and all stuff like that. So imagine how useful discourse markers in our everyday life, right, class?